Hey guys, today I will be going over all the key specs of the Magene QED electronic group set that is currently released in China and hopefully will be released in Western markets in a couple of months or hopefully but early next year. I found out all these numbers by just going through a social media site known as Hongshu, which is a Chinese social media site where the company has released many promotional videos addressing all the key points about the product and the specs of the product, and a lot of reviewers have also gotten their hands on the product in China only. So I've done a lot of Google translation to find out the specs of the device. Some of the specs might be slightly incorrect due to translation errors, but I hopefully got it all correct. Okay, so there's two variants of the group set, rim brake and a disc brake. And it's compatible between 10 to 12 speeds, so I think that there's only going to be one sold, but in the firmware you can adjust if it's a 10 speed or 10 or 11 speed group set, which makes it a really good option because they can spec it out at different price levels. And if you already have an existing bike, you don't have to change your group set over completely. And the next thing is that the front derailleur supports 50 to 54 teeth. And the rear works with 34 and below, so it's not ideal for gravel, but it can be alright for like slight olive road riding conditions, I guess. And then it works with the UHD derailleurs, which I was extremely surprised with. Uses 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi, Bluetooth low energy, and N+ to connect to head units, and I think it's a Bluetooth or an N+ connection between the shifters and the derailleurs. The battery life on the group set is 2,500 kilometers. This is according to them, by the way. 3 hours to charge. It's the cell of the battery is about 800 milliamp hours. As for the performance of the group set, they're saying it's 0.09 seconds for a shift on the rear derailleur and 0.3 on the front. I've gone through some of the material and it says that it's got some sort of gear protection mechanism where in the event of a collision it will free up the mechanism so it doesn't get damaged, similar to what Shimano and SRAM already have on their electronic group sets. And they're saying the 0.09 shift time is the same for going up or down while shifting. Price wise, the price for the rim brake model is 3,099 RMB, and for the disc it's 3,999, so that roughly equates to around $422 and $545. By the way, these are only available in select retailers in China, so it's not a China-wide release even, but so the pricing might actually change with how time goes by, but I think they're gonna stick with it, hopefully at least, because I think the price is really what's gonna set these guys apart, especially from Wheeltop, because I think this is even a little cheaper than Wheeltop. And a killer feature that wasn't really mentioned in a lot of videos that I found was that suppose you had a rim brake group set to begin with, so you got the Magene QED electronic rim or mechanical, but later down the line you wanted to upgrade to the hydraulic version. They actually have a upgrade kit which lets them swap out the pulley mechanism, like the shift as in the action mechanism, to a hydraulic mechanism. It's a little conversion kit. I don't know the price or who would actually be in charge of doing that, whether it would be Magene or you can do it yourself, but probably someone like a Trace Fellow is gonna do something on that. As for weight, I will run down the weights. So I'm gonna only talk about the hydraulic version because that's what's probably most people are gonna buy. So the hydraulic one, the shifters, front and rear derailleur, excluding any cables, is 784 grams, and excluding all calipers. The equivalent in an Ultegra is 774, and the equivalent on a Jura is 683. However, this is where it becomes a really good option. The calipers are, the weights on those are 200. They have two variants. So they have a CNC one-piece caliper, and they have a normal forged two-sided, like a two-piece caliper. So the weights for those are 230 and 260 grams. If you're looking at the caliper weights for the Ultegra and the Jura, the Ultegra's weight actually comes down to 1,084 grams, and the Magene, with the lower or the higher, it's 1,014 or 1,044. So the group set is actually lighter than Ultegra, unlike the L2 ERX, which is about the weight of the 105 Di2. And if you're looking at the Jura, just for reference, it's 912 grams, including the calipers. So for a mere 102 grams more, you are going to be paying a substantially lower price for the device, for the group set. And I think that it's one of the best things that happened to cycling in a long time, especially the fact that they are convertible. I mean, you can change them from hydraulic to mechanical brakes, which means that people with older bikes right now can buy rim, and in the future they can use the same group set moving forwards. Now coming to my thoughts on this, so we have two Chinese group sets now which are fully designed and made in China, which is amazing, which means more competition. The first is Wheeltop and the second is Magene. Wheeltop has this completely wireless approach, which comes with the upsides that it's easy to install and it's compatible on heaps of bikes, and there's not going to be any issues with setting it up. The downsides is that they don't have replaceable batteries, so it's not really a current issue, but something to be aware of further down the line. The other main advantage is that I think the Wheeltop is especially marketed right now for home mechanics because of the easy installation. So you have two types of bikes. You have the ones you build yourself, where you get a mechanic to build it, or you have a bike that's already spec'd out by a manufacturer like Canyon and Specialized, where everything's already, they set the bar with the saddle, everything. You can tweak like where it sits, but pretty much everything is set by the manufacturer, and that's what you get. The other type is where you spec everything yourself, and you know, you pick what saddle you have, what group set you have, what wheels you have, what tires you have. Everything on the bike is picked by you, so you don't have to buy the bike and then swap things out. So I think it's a niche market that Wheeltop's really trying to approach, just because I haven't seen any reports on Hongshu or anywhere online where they are working with OEM manufacturers, bike manufacturers, to get them installed on bikes yet. And I've worked in a bike shop for 2 years, and we rarely ever sold a group by itself, or even parts for people to upgrade as like a part of the group set. Most people don't. As well, when I mean parts of the group set, as in like people aren't changing out chain rings or shifters to lighter ones or any of that stuff. Most people leave the bike stock as it is. They might get wheels or new tires or a saddle. That's about it. They're not as, you know, careful or care that much about what the bolts are or what the crank length is on the bike. I mean, like, some people do, but a lot of people don't care though. It is a good strategy on Wheeltop's end, as they can make a good impression. They have a good product, in my opinion, at least from the reports I've seen. Most people seem to like it. There aren't too many issues, but only time will tell. It's a great strategy on Wheeltop, and as they can make a good impression on the home mechanics, which will give it a little bit of a good following to begin with. Once that grows, they can move on to the OEM section, So approaching companies like Merida or Giant, which are some of the largest bicycling OEMs in the world, and get them to integrate the group set on their bikes. That's how the group set will actually be market competitive. Because right now what they're doing is just selling group sets, I don't think it's going to really push the needle in any sort of meaningful way for most people. Whereas now coming to the QED, the Magene is fairly easy to install. I have a Ultra Di2. I've installed it myself. I have the 11-speed model, so it's even harder. It's not that hard, but I don't think most people want to go to the hassle of setting one of these up. And I know the 12-speed, the Magene and the Di2 12-speed stuff are easier to install, but I don't think most home mechanics, they might, but most people aren't going to be bothered of speccing a bike and getting that installed. With Magene, they're a really large manufacturer for trainers, computers. I have their power meter and have their radar back here. I think their biggest advantage is that they have size, they have manufacturing volume, and they have the power to talk to OEMs to get them installed on bikes. And when enough people start riding or even selecting bikes with Magene group sets because of the lower price, that's when you get the likes of Shimano and SRAM trying to introduce more competitive group sets. I know Shimano has Qs, but we haven't really seen anything from them about Qs. It's been like a year and a half. I still know the same things about Qs as when it was first announced. So as of now, 105 Di2 is still relatively expensive. Especially in Australia, the cheapest 105 Di2 bike from Canyon, which is one of like the higher tier brands. I know they're low in price, but I still think they're not that cheap. They're like $4,500 to $5,000. Merida is the cheapest one, where you can get one for $3,600 to $4,000. But those are the cheapest options that are available, and there's not many affordable 105 Di2 bikes out there. And if they start just working in smaller markets, or at least smaller firms in China, I know that they're working with Pardus, I don't know how to pronounce it properly, as an OEM supplier. Okay, so to conclude my thoughts, the group set's only gonna go anywhere, or Shimano's gonna have actual competition, if OEMs are willing to take on Magene, Wheeltop, L2, Sensa. Any of these brands only have a way forward if OEMs are willing to take the risk of burning relations with Shimano and SRAM as their existing customers, because they've been long-standing customers for years and years, and I'm doubtful they want to ruin them. But sales in the cycling industry are dropping. It's because there are not many affordable options, and a lot of companies have gone under in the recent years. So something like the Magene or the Wheeltop are very good value options for customers to look at, and I really, really, really hope that they get picked up by SRAM or Shimano, not SRAM or Shimano, I mean by a Giant or Merida. I doubt a Canyon, but definitely a Giant or Merida are the ones I can see this happening. XDS, which is a very big company in China. Maybe Windspace can start speccing their bikes with them as well. Hopefully that pushes the needle forward. So yeah, I have great hopes for the group set. It's very well priced.